All right, let me get closer to you. So I have a request. Can we try to go straight so I don't have to edit anything? No mistakes.
Yeah, you're on your own.
What do you think of the mic stands? You like them?
You know, I like them. I really like them. I don't like that I have to hunch and touch because I'm comfortable back here, which the other one came to. But obviously, I got yelled at twice.
Yeah, if you don't get close.
So I'm like this now. Hello,
Okay. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Omar. I don't even know the name of the
Hey,
show.
welcome to Fuji XT3 time with Omar Morales and Mo Gonzalez.
Let me check the merch. Okay. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Mo and O show. My name is Omar Gonzalez.
And I am Mo Morales.
And we are friends that love to hang out. And so we hope you enjoy hanging out with us. We're going to talk camera gear. We're going to talk... what the heck was that?
I don't know who's there. Get away from me.
So today we have our battling Nikon versus Canon little scene here.
Let us tell you why they're out there.
Okay, so this, you're going to say? Go.
Yes, because there's been so much hype about the brand new cameras released by Nikon, by Fuji, by Canon, about mirrorless. And we're like, what about the love of the DSLR?
Yeah, so we brought our DSLRs to talk about what we love about them and just how we use them, like our favorite features. So we're going to kind of go back and forth and say what we love about our...
The pros and cons about our DSLRs as opposed to, I mean, because eventually, Omar and I, we discussed this, right? Eventually, the world will be mirrorless.
Totally.
The DSLR will become a dinosaur and fade away. And it is already there to a degree. But it's still a very powerful, useful tool that professional photographers are still making bank money off of because you know why? It's a technology that works and it works well. Can it still be improved? Yes, and that's where it will end up eventually with the mirrorless world.
Absolutely.
But tell me one of the first things you kind of dig about your Canon Mark D17 Blue 44 Red Rover.
Rover, sit, hut, hut, hut. The benefits of the DSLR for me, number one, mirrorless cameras all seem to be a lot smaller, which means a smaller battery. So number one, battery life. I can go pretty much an entire event. We're talking 4, 5, 6 hours with maybe just two batteries.
This is a very good point. Very, very, very important too. Like you don't want to be in the middle of doing something and you already have 1,000 things in your brain.
Yeah.
The last thing you need in your brain is like, did I turn off the toaster this morning?
Yeah.
No, wait. No, did I? Is this battery going to make it through this next important sequence of events? Am I going to get through the kiss, for instance, if it's a wedding? You know, especially because
have you ever been like you look at the top of your camera and it's got one little bar, like something important is about to happen, and you realize, oh, I got to change it out.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, life lessons. I'm a walking dictionary of mistakes in life. One of my first weddings, which I charged like $300 for, it was one of my first big charge weddings where I was big bossing. I didn't switch batteries after the morning shoot with the groom and the bride and the family, and I went right to the ceremony. And luckily, I had a second shooter because right before they started getting ready for the kiss, I heard that hard shutdown.
Yeah.
I never even looked at the... Because, you know, with Nikon, I don't know about Canon. With Nikon, you get one quick warning, and then it dies.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
So I didn't notice because I was so, like, nervous and stressing out.
Of course, you have, like, so many things to think about.
I'm charging for the first time. It's a really big wedding. I was stressed. I was scared. So I didn't think about the battery. Last thing in my mind, all of a sudden I heard...
Oh, gosh.
And I saw nothing through the viewfinder. And I'm like,
well, did you have an extra battery?
in my pocket, so it was a quick swap out, and I didn't miss anything overall. But the chance of missing something,
was
there. So
and
I've
also
learned,
you learned like, hey, keep an eye on your gas gauge.
Yeah,
or you run out of gas.
And also I have enough batteries now that every main focus of the event I switch it out.
Exactly. So you get into a cadence as an event photographer. You're like, formals are over. Maybe there's half battery left. You switch it out because you have so many.
Now, again, I think with the newer cameras, there's not a need to do it as much as I used to do it with the D5000, the D7000. It's not a need to do it as much as I used to, but it's just habit. And I have enough batteries that it's not a big deal to swap it out a little early.
Exactly.
You know? So
yeah, I do the same thing. If it's 2 bars, I just switch it if I know I'm going into the reception or ceremony of some kind.
Memory cards and batteries, swap them right out.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on shooting onto a humongous memory card, everything, versus little cards?
Well, if I'm going to swap out a couple of memory cards throughout the event, then
What I'm saying is like
32 gigs.
Yeah, do you prefer like a 32? Don't put your eggs all in one basket.
Yeah.
Kind of approach?
So I have multiple 32 SDs. Well, I used to have the SD and the compact flash in 32 formats, and it was a quick after this, swap these out, because I back up from one card to the other.
Definitely. Like, so one of the suggestions for a while, pretty much all last season, I was shooting onto a 128 gigabyte card that did not change the entire day. And that's kind of, I back up to another card. However, that is kind of playing with fire. If that card goes corrupt, that's pretty much your whole day. So this season, I'm going to stop being lazy, and I'm going to keep a look on the gas gauge and flip out 32 megabyte cards.
Yeah, the only problem I find now is because of the QXD card being so expensive.
Yes, you can't have 5 of them, man.
And because the D850 has, we'll get into that later, but the size of the file in the D850 makes it harder to have smaller cards and swap out.
D800 had the same problem. That's a negative of megapixel.
Yeah, but 36 megapixels compared to 45.7 is a big difference.
Crazy file sizes.
Yes.
So the reason we brought out our DSLRs and are sitting them here so they look beautiful, like it's not a head-to-head. It's basically a little homage to what we love to work with, because the following cameras were just announced. And those of you that don't know camera world, every September, huge announcements come about from all the camera manufacturers because of Photokina. What's Photokina?
Photokina is the Comic-Con of the camera world. The camera world. The camera world.
You just combined comic and camera.
I
love
did. It. Yeah, so it's like the CES and the Comic-Con of the camera world, but for I said that right.
Yeah. So the following cameras were recently announced and will be. It's funny, they announced them before Photokina, so they can show them off there. But the ones we already talked about, the Nikon Z6
and 7
and 7. That's Nikon's full frame introduction into the full frame mirrorless world. Very cool. Canon EOS R. It was Canon's new announcement, full frame mirrorless camera. I thought it was very cute looking, but not a serious contender to the Sony A7R3 or A7 III.
Right now, nothing is.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a great camera with the A50. It falls short compared to. Well, let me finish, rude boy.
What the hell?
Rude boy. It falls short in a couple things compared to the Sony. No one competes to the Sony, which is my point in general when it comes to mirrorless cameras.
Yeah. Oh, got it. Mirrorless. So it's the best mirrorless camera. D850 it beats the 5D Mark IV, which we'll get to in a lot of features. So it's kind of like the best DSLR out there right now.
It's a bag of sexy.
Sexy bag. And Fuji just announced the Fuji XT3, which is not a full-frame mirrorless, but I love that Fuji kind of does their own thing. They upgraded their camera, the Fuji XT2. They didn't put IBIS in it, which people were, in-body image stabilization. People were a little upset about that. But they upgraded the focus system to compete with Sony. They give you 4K video at 60 frames a second, which none has.
Frames per second.
Yeah, you can do slow motion in 4K for cheap now.
Yeah, so people don't understand that. Why do I need that many frames per second? So if you want to play with the footage and you have the features that you have 60 frames per second, you could slow that down and get a crisper slow motion.
Yeah.
It's
Think
cleaner.
when you watch baseball or sports, when they do the really beautiful detailed slow motion. Well, if you shoot at 120 frames a second, you get beautiful slow motion. So 60 frames a second, 4K, a lot of cameras. That's the first camera to have that in a mirrorless package, small mirrorless package.
Yeah, it's a good price point. Good price point.
Yeah, for sure. So that was exciting. So back to our DSLR. So we decided this episode should be an homage to our DSLRs and what we love about them. So we're going to kind of go back and forth and talk about what we love and maybe what we don't love, but how we use our DSLRs. So give me your D850 top feature.
Well, the number one thing, it's kind of obvious, and I'll break it down a little further later on. But right now, it's just the familiar feel of a DSLR.
When you go from one Nikon to the next,
right.
to the next, to the
most
next.
Most of my Nikons, from the D5000, 7000, the 600, the 800 to the 850, the learning curve has only been what's new. It's never been the basics.
Agreed.
So I think the familiar feel of a DSLR for me is one of the main reasons I've stayed with it, because as of recently, when I got the 850, we had to talk that you could have gone with the Sony and bought the adapter and stuff like that.
Forget it. The learning curve. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have. I mean, I would have time to learn eventually, but it's not something I was willing to take on right now. So I figured I'll wait for Nikon to improve the bodies of the mirrorless, and then that's when I'll upgrade eventually another 2-3 years. 4 or 5 years, hopefully, because I had the other ones I had all my bodies for roughly. The longest one I had was 800, almost like 6 years. So
that's great. I mean, the way bodies now like come out every year or every 2 years, it's amazing. I think with me, I went from the 5D Mark III to the I'm totally agreeing with you. The 5D Mark III to the 5D Mark IV. This, by the way, is the 5D. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, this right here is the 5D Mark III because we have to film with our 5D Mark IV. And you can jump from one to the next and pretty much everything was the same. So my top feature is the handling of the camera. With everything getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and don't get me wrong, I love the Fuji XT3.
Oh, one per video.
There's a place for the size of that camera. I love it 1,000,000%. I love taking it out and shooting for me. I love it for vacation. But when you're working, we talk about like it's a tool. Mm-hmm. You want it to be substantial. You want it to be in your hand and feel great. And although it's heavy, of course, it just fits like, it's just an awesome grip.
It is. It's like, to quote the world famous Flossie Carter, it feels good in the hands.
Absolutely.
Ladies.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Oh, and we were talking about this before, like shopping. We had mentioned earlier, we were talking off camera that.
So Omar asked me eventually, why did you go with Nikon instead of going with Canon? And I told him one of the first things, we all have that one super photographer friend that we ask questions about, like, why do you do this?
Yeah.
Why do you have a memory card? Why do you put that shutter button down? And one of the first questions I asked him, should I get a Nikon or should I get a Canon? Because back then those were your only options. And he said, go to the store, pick it up, feel it in your hands. He said, I don't want to tell you to get a Canon, and then you hold it in your hand and it feels like hot garbage.
Yeah.
So I went to Best Buy, and not sponsored. I went to Best Buy and I picked up the Canon Rebel, and I was like, oh, it feels okay, whatever. But when I picked up the D5000, everything's like, oh
man. I did it completely opposite you. I did brand loyalty. I shot Canon film. Then when the DSLRs were film, Canon film. And I never in a million years would have thought like pick up a Nikon. Like it was sacrilegious.
I had a Canon Rebel old fashioned film one forever.
Cool.
And I gave that away eventually, but I think with the advent of digital technology, I wanted to make sure I gave everything a chance, as far as how it felt in my hand. That's why I went straight to the Rebel first, and then I felt the Nikon. I think if I didn't pick up the Nikon, I'd probably be a Canon shooter right now.
How are you with sneakers, though? Are you like brand loyal?
No.
Oh, that's good. I used to be all Nike only.
I have a lot of Nike
in my closet. And then I tried on some Adidas.
And then, to me, I'm old. So whatever feels good around my feet, It's easy to get in and out of.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm not running marathons.
So I think I kind of with the tribal, thing that happens in our brains as humans, I was Canon or nothing kind of thing. So I always fit myself into it. And now I'm open to other stuff, of course, being older. But I went with my Canon #1 for feel. So it just always feels right in my hand. But it's because I haven't tried anything else. I don't know anything else. So that's why it's right in my hand.
Yeah, it's very important for those out there who are about to pick up their first DSLR or are about to upgrade from their first, entry-level DSLR. If you're not invested heavily in the lenses yet, go pick up other different body.
For sure.
Feel a different body. See what, give it a chance. Don't be like Omar was. It's a Canon. It must be a Canon going forward. Brand.
And I picked up I went to Adorama and picked up an Olympus camera. Have you ever picked those up?
Yes, I have.
And it's sad because this is a company making a product out there. But
it's a very good camera.
Spec-wise?
It gives you everything you need.
Absolutely. But I picked it up and I felt loose buttons and...
It's like a little plasticky brick.
Yeah.
And again, it's a great camera. It's going to give you amazing images.
Sponsored by Olympus.
Not anymore. Another one we just lost. You're such a hater, man.
Yeah,
But-
you know what? We need to just start talking about everyone nice, and
Yeah.
then eventually someone will call us.
Once you grab one of these and you put your arm around it and you feel
yeah. Mhm.
that hard, mine is magnesium alloy. I don't know about yours, but you feel it in your hands and you're like,
Mine is adamantium.
yeah, schnick. So, but these are amazing in your hand. There goes my arm.
They do, and you can drop them. They're weather sealed, super tough camera for jobs. If you're like a photojournalist, you're not walking around with like a tiny, I don't think,
Pentax.
Pentax or like a Samsung, whatever.
Oh, Samsung, don't hurt their feelings,
I
please.
know. So what's your next one?
The current range of options for lenses, both of us with the Canon history and with the Nikon F-mount history, there's billions of lenses to choose from.
Yeah,
I can
almost
go-
too many.
Yeah,
It's
almost too many. Like you're like, this D version lens was amazing. Well, what about the G version of that lens? Is it the same?
then you're like watching review after review
like,
and
well, you know
pixel
what?
peeping.
This one costs $150 and it's still a 1.8. This one costs $3,700. Do I want to pay the extra
Yeah.
$2,000 for this?
It's so funny. There's never like something in between.
No,
Canon has a $100 50,
Yeah.
and then their best 50 millimeters is like $2,000. It's like, dude, give me a $700.
Here's what we're going to do.
You like you buy $100, $3,000.
Don't bother me, son. Pick it up or go away.
Exactly. So that's a good one. Lens choice. And you know what's so funny? Look at all the, I hate to bash on Sony. However, if you look at the popular Sony photographers, what lenses are they shooting?
Nikon. No.
No
Canon,
joke.
actually.
They're shooting Canon lenses that are adapted. They're shooting Sigma lenses adapted. And so that's one negative of that Sony is like lens choice sometimes is a little
Let's
tough.
run sideways real quickly because we're never, ever walking sideways. We always keep straight on point. Sigma gets the most improved company
Oh,
of
yeah.
the of
Like
the
if there was a
decade.
yearbook
Yeah.
of...
Yeah, I mean between the, I won't say hot garbage. Between the lenses that you were able to get, I had a 70-300
the gold ring
macro
ones. Yeah.
for $149. I paid for it, brand new, and it was the greatest lens I had at the time. And when I became full body, the full frame, and this, that, and the other, I realized, you know what? I really can't use it anymore.
It's a little soft.
It's a little soft, but for it's my time and its time together, it was perfect.
Of course.
And I never, ever thought about buying another Sigma lens because I tried renting a few to see if I was going to like them. They're 70-200, they're 24-70, and I'm like, I'm not getting what I want.
Yeah.
Then they dropped those art lenses.
I love the art lenses.
I had the 85 on the camera the other day. The 85 they came out with. No, it wasn't 85. It was a 35. It was 35 crop.
1.4.
It was a 35 crop, right? And I took a couple pictures on it because the 800 the 8 series allows you to go from full frame to crop frame, and those were some of the sharpest pictures I had taken in a while. I'm like, this is a 35 crop lens.
So you saw that picture I showed you of the Canon 5D Mark IV with the girl's blue eyes?
Yes.
Art lens, the 50 millimeter art lens. And I'm shooting that at 1.4 wide open and so sharp, so crispy.
So my point of this diversion was to bring up to the point that don't be afraid to buy aftermarket lenses such as Sigma nowadays because the technology has come so far. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to pick up a new Yongnuo lens, but
Agree.
You
Yeah.
know. But anyway, back to your point. Sorry
I was
for
about to say
distracting.
sponsored by. Poor sponsored by. Okay, so definitely the way it feels. Second is how I can go from single shot to continuous. So when I shoot an event, I basically am mostly single shot. So, there's people that put an armor in a single shot, boom. Did you hear that language?
Yeah.
I'll speak slower.
I understood.
All right, exactly. That's what
I
friends
speak
are
Omarese.
for. Omarese. I'll speak slower. So when I'm shooting an event and people put their arm around one another, I single shot, the camera focuses quick and shoot. But if all of a sudden someone, sometimes in events, they don't tell you that someone's going to run down, the aisle or run down like to introduce something. All of a sudden you have someone running at you, single shot focus, you're going to miss everything. Because you're
all
like,
of it.
Pop, you're trying to single focus. By the time you single focus and shoot, they're out of that plane.
Yep.
Especially I'm shooting at f4.
You got enough to worry about with the lighting, the darkness, everything. And
Bouncing your flash.
And now they're moving at the speed of light towards you.
Exactly. So I love that you can set up your buttons right next to my focus. I have a button that will switch from my single focus to continuous focus. it basically will, I'll just hit that button really fast, and now the camera's all set up to, if I hold down the focus, it'll track, and I can fire 3 or 4. And as someone's running really fast at me, and I fire 3 as the flash is recharging, like 3 distances, they've been all, knock on wood, in focus because I can set my buttons for super quick action.
That's awesome.
Love it.
And,
all right, your turn.
You covered durability, so I'll quite skip that one. But
Adamantium.
yeah, also the feel in the hands, I kind of covered that. It's a solid piece of machinery. I know we kind of touched on it briefly, but it's been dropped, and you can't tell.
Durability, weather sealing.
Weather sealing. I've used this in a bunch of rain shoots that I've done. I'll give you a picture to post right here of Sal and Craig's engagement shoot that I did, and it was in the rain. It was a beautiful shot.
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt, but how come there's no like eye cup on Nikons? Like I have a little eye cup thing here. It looks like you just have a porthole.
We have a porthole.
What is that?
I don't know. Well, you could swap this out and get something else, but it's a nice little.
Oh my God, yours is so much heavier than mine.
That's right.
Innuendos.
Yeah, we're professional adults.
Yeah. There's like my eye slips out of this eyepiece.
Well, that's because you're crazy.
That's cool.
You know what? Actually, that's very helpful for me with glasses because I need that flatness.
Oh, you shoot with glasses. Yeah.
So to me, I've never noticed that, and now I'm going to add it to my pro list. Right?
Well, I noticed there's there's little like tracks here. Maybe you can put eye cups in there.
No. I used to get the Hoodman stuff.
Yeah.
I used to use some of their Hoodman stuff for certain uses that I needed it for. So it is adaptable. But to me, being flat like that is perfect for my glasses.
Very cool.
Because the ones I used to have like this would end up smearing my glasses and creating permanent marks on them after time.
Very cool. Okay, my next feature, and I was talking to you about this. I just showed Mo one of my portrait sessions. I've been shooting with the Fuji and the Canon on pro work. I've been looking at portraits in the 2, like total pixel peeping and looking at the 2. But
you should never do that.
Totally not. You can't compare, just from what because I've gotten Nikon files from second shooters, no names. I've gotten my Fuji files. I've seen Sony files. And the skin colors that I get that are run right through my system, right through Lightroom, right through culling, right through everything, all I have to do to post-process, my whole point here is Canon color science. Matching I've sort of matched my style to like Sony. I was about to say Sony.
Because you love them so much secretly.
Did you hear that?
It's the truth that comes out finally.
I think Canon's color science for skin I've matched my post-processing to their skin science, and I just love it. I love how skin looks. I feel like from the Nikon files, there's like a green hue, or used to be anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was going to let you finish, but since you brought it up.
Go ahead.
From the D5000, D7000, D5000, D7000, D600, I would always have to super color correct
Not anymore?
skin. Not as much.
Not as much.
I mean,
okay.
It's still not. If I put it next to one of your files, it's not the same.
Yeah.
But it's not obnoxious.
But I'm sure someone who you understand what comes out of your camera. You can get skin the way you want it.
Yeah. Well, like I told you in the previous episode, I have my own color.
That's right.
mindset.
You color balance. Yeah.
So I don't go by the official. This is what.
Who needs real skin?
I'm like, come on, look, you look beautiful in blue, baby.
You got a little blue tinge to you.
Look at that.
Well, I think that's my mega benefit is that it's. Again, it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it because the Canon files match the style I like, or is it that my style has become what Canon produces? But a lot of portrait photographers, look at a ton of portrait photographers, they use the Canon for that whole straight out of camera. The skin is beautiful. Images are beautiful. So I also love that. Well, I'll let you go, and then I know what mine is.
All right. I don't think you'll be able to pick it up, but one thing I found.
You just did pick it up.
No, I mean, they'll pick it up. Is when I'm using this in an event or somewhere dark, and I go to try to figure out what's going on, these buttons on my panels light up.
Oh.
So I'm never in the dark or in the lurch trying to figure out.
I don't have that. That's a cool feature.
You know, where the menu is, how to hit the OK button and stuff like that. Silly little things like that. When you're in the dark, it's just very useful to have, especially with the touchscreen. And you open up your menu, you can go right to
touchscreen. Coming from the 5D Mark III to 4, you never knew that a touchscreen was so useful. But going through menus is fantastic, really quick. But my next one was, and this might be like a kind of a ribbing on you.
Ooh.
But it has the perfect pixel size for what I do. My Fuji my Fuji pixel size I think is a little small for me cropping in. I do crop in if I shoot wide and there's something interesting in the frame, I can go in and not lose resolution. So something in the 20s, not so great. Monster megapixel file heaviness, not a fan of. It's like 30 megapixels, sweet spot.
Yeah. So going from the 800 was 36 megapixels, which was my initial jump into. Again, I went from a 24 megapixel D600, which was my first my first full frame camera, which made me change my life. Like, wow, this is amazing. And 24 megapixels. That's pretty good. 36, not understanding what that was going to do to my
hard drive.
backup.
75 megabytes
per photo.
Picture.
Per photo. That's now. I can get up to 105 megabytes in a certain picture. So
that means
that's
crazy.
Yeah. And it's the worst part is, and the worst thing, well, we won't talk about the worst part, but yeah, I personally like the large megapixels because it gives you so much ability to get rid of and crop in.
I mean, it's always great to get it in frame, but later you can make a photo that wasn't there.
Right. I'm a strong believer, and maybe it's because I did not, initially as a photographer, I did not know rules. I did not know the rights, the wrongs. I just took pictures.
You're right.
I just took pictures. So to me, while I rather get it right in camera, it's never been a big deal to me if I have to go back and do something in post. So I'm not one of those people like, oh, get it right in camera. Like, shut up. Please be quiet.
Shut up, man. I'm learning here.
Like, everyone has their own way of doing things. Like, if you want to get it right in camera and that's the only way you want to work, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't put your philosophy on everyone else.
Totally.
You're not paying me.
But so that is that
was an awkward laugh as I ever heard one.
So
I could also shrink the.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I could also, on the fly, shrink the megapixels.
Shrinkage?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah, so we got a little shrinkage there, ladies. Hit me up. So no.
I was in the pool.
So on the fly, I could go from, the
45 to like
25 to 14.
So, but no 30. They would have put 30 in there.
I don't know. I've never swapped out, but I have seen it within my viewfinder when I was feeling.
I would say you have enough memory, and you just in your workflow dump the rejects.
Yeah, that's what has to be done, because I think that's what slowed me down when I converted over to the 850 was the fact that I found myself waiting much longer for my files to get ready.
Yeah, and how many photos you get from a shoot? It's like you're taking, let's say, 200.
Example.
There's really like 10% hit rate, like 20 good ones.
I took it out.
What?
One of the first times I took it out, I whipped it out.
Hold on, let me.
So one of the first times I took out the D850 after being with the 800 for so long, I took 45 photos real quick. Again, I'm not a big proponent of that. One, I'm not a quick sprayer, and two, I wasn't sure of all the tricks it had in it, so I don't like to take my camera out for a professional shoot or anything until I knew it. But I was taking shoots of my son, so I took 45 pictures, out of which I used 18.
Yeah,
and I realized I could have even culled it down lower than that, but my son loves every picture of himself.
Yeah.
So I gave him all I thought that he would like. I honestly would have. If it was a client, and they, I tell all my clients, you're not going to get 1,000 pictures.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you're bringing this up. Go ahead.
I always tell my clients, if you get 10 pictures out of this shoot, we need you to be happy, because I'm going to give you the best pictures that I found.
I'm glad you brought this up, because I made the mistake of not prepping one of my clients. I forgot to tell them how I work. And just imagine if someone's taking pictures of you and they hear move a little this way, thousands of clicks, because I work with like motion and expression and laughs, and there's like half blinks. So when they got their I gave him maybe like 80 portraits that were gorgeous.
That's a lot. That's good.
That's a lot. Usually a portrait session, you know, like 40 to 50 is like a lot to go through of quality photos. And I don't like giving like poses that are very similar.
Yeah, no dupes.
No dupes, exactly.
No dupes.
T-shirts, no dupes, yo, no dupes. But if you don't prep your clients, what a disappointment, because she was kind of like, where are all the rest of the photographs?
And again, like I said earlier,
Yeah.
I deal with everything today because every mistake I made growing into this. And I never used to tell my clients, even after being burned, I would forget to tell them.
Forget.
Now it's ingrained that as before I even take the camera up off the floor, as soon as we sign paperwork or we agree that this is what we're going to do, the first thing I say is,
How do I work?
I'm going to
Yeah.
take 1,000 pictures. You're not getting 1,000 pictures presented to
Well,
you.
can I edit that? There's a nicer way to say it. Because you're like, you ain't getting.
Nice. I'm a big
1,000
fluffy
pictures.
guy. I'm like, look, it's
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah. The way I said it was, you're going to hear a lot of clicks. Most of those pictures, it's not the picture. That's how I say it. We're looking for the picture. So we work a scene together. So that way they understand that you're painting, as opposed to like, I'm getting 1,000 photographs, but you're not getting them.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You're just mean.
I'm not that harsh. I usually say like,
No, I know.
we're gonna take a lot of pictures, but we're only probably gonna end up with like 10, 15, 20 that are the greatest pictures in
Yeah.
the world, and you're gonna go home cry, and you're gonna tell me that I'm God as far as you're concerned. Sorry.
Set a high bar. I love it. I love it.
Omar, it's been another fun talk.
Totally. And listen, the DSLR is not dead.
It's not dead.
Twinkie.
It's only dead because people are trying to kill it off.
Yeah.
Like
agreed.
I had the option of going mirrorless when I upgraded, and I didn't take that option. Why? Because there's still technology that works, and they've actually improved it. So don't let them fool you into a one memory card mirrorless card. Mirrorless
Yeah,
camera.
get the best camera for you. Get the best camera that you've held on to, that has the right features and is the right price. Don't go into debt for a camera, man.
It's not right.
It's not right.
All right, screenshot time.
Bye, bud.
Bye bye.